the tools for, or the tools of creation. Everything you can see, you can feel, you can hear in our world today was created by God or man or by animals. And I love it the way this somebody placed it. Somebody said God started creation and he allowed humans to continue from where he stopped. And I really agree. I want to agree with this man. He said God started creation and he didn't finish it and allow humans to continue the process of creation. So God created the trees. Humans cannot create trees. Then God created the trees and allowed humans to make furniture out of trees. So you can see it's logical. God started the process and allowed humans to continue. So God created all, and human beings made automobiles out of all. So it's very important for us to know that we are all creators. God is the first creator. Humans are also creators. We also have animals that are also creating. They create honey, they create milk, and they create meat. So it's fine. So today we're going to be looking at the tools of creation. We're going to be looking at defining creation. What is creation? We're also going to be looking at the need for creation. Why do we need to create things? And then we're going to be looking at the tools that will help us do the creation. And then we pray and we call it a day. And I will be open to questions thereabout. And then if you are you need prayer in any form, in any area you want people to join hands with you. Remember, one shall chase 1,000, it takes two to chase 10,000. So is there an area of concern that you need people to put pressure on the devil on your behalf? You might reach out to me personally, send me a DM. And then though we pray for all members of Groundbreakers Forum every week, but if you want us to pray specially for you, the prayer team will be willing to take those matter up. Please, you can do me personally, you can send me a DM and then we'll take it off from there. So I'll start with what is creation? Creation is the act and process of bringing something into existence. The act, the action and the process of bringing something into existence. So that thing is not there before. It is after you have created it that you have brought it into existence. So we're defining creation. Creation can be defined as the action and process of bringing something into existence. You are bringing the action and the process of bringing something into existence. It is not in existence before you brought it into existence. That is creation. Secondly, what is creation? Creation is the act of making, one, inventing, two, or producing something. Creation is the act of making something, inventing something, or producing something. So you can see that you are making something, you are investing, you are inventing something, or you are producing something. It could be as little as what you eat in your house, what you ate today. Somebody made it. Maybe you made it yourself, or you bought it in the restaurant or somewhere. It might be moi moi, it might be rice, it might be, akam, it might be whatever it is, it might be spag. You had to, it wasn't there before, though there was raw material, but you made it. You put a little bit of water, salt, all those things you put together, and you made that thing. So creation has to do with making, inventing or producing something. That's the definition of creation. So why creation? Why do we need it? Why do I need to create anything? What is the need for creation? What's the need for it? Now, the first thing is we're going to see the need for creation. The first need of creation is problem solving. When you create, you solve a problem. Now, let's open our Bible to Genesis chapter 3. We're looking at why creation. What is the need for it? Why do we need to create anything? Now, the first thing is problem solving. When you create something, it helps you to solve problems. Creation helps to solve problems. Genesis chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3, verse 7. Genesis chapter 3, verse 7. And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves apron. You saw that? What did they make? They made apron. Why did they make the apron? Because they were naked. Nakedness was what triggered them to make apron. So when there's a problem, when you create something, it helps you to solve problems. So the first problem Adam and Eve really literally solved was to cover their nakedness. And how are they able to do that? They sewed fig trees, they sewed fig leaves together, and they wore it as clothes. Later on, God did a better option, gave them a better clothes by using animal skin thereabout. But initially, when they knew that they were naked, they tried to put on clothes. So problem solving, when you create, you try to solve a problem. Now, when you cook, you are trying to solve a problem of hunger so that you can eat. Light came as a result of darkness. The Bible says when God saw that everywhere was dark, he said, let there be light. So light came as a solution to a problem. Light came as a solution to darkness. So you can see when you go around today, you see automobiles. Why do we have automobiles? It's because there's a problem of transportation. People need to move from one point to another. Why do we have houses? Why do we stay in houses? Because we need to resist, we need to stay, we need to, how do I call it? We need to put ourselves in an enclosure against the elements. You don't want to stay where rain, sun, everything will be on you. So you need somewhere to stay, and that is why we need accommodation. So you can see that the need for creation is that creation comes to help us solve problems. So if you don't create, your problems will still be there. So if you don't cook, hunger will still be there. So whether you're going to cook the food in your house or you're going to buy it somewhere, or else they buy it somewhere, somebody else cooked it. It didn't drop from heaven. Now there are no manners anymore. So you have to cook that food, whether you're going to do it in your house or you're going to buy it. Whichever way, somebody has to do the creation of that food. So creation helps us to solve our problems. So I'm still coming back to that later. So why do we need to create? Number two, creation is the source of wealth and prosperity. If you don't create, you can't be wealthy, you can't be prosperous. Everybody that is wealthy and prosperous in our world today, they are creating something. So creation is the source of wealth and prosperity. Let me say that again. Creation is the source of wealth and prosperity. When value is created, wealth is created. When value is created, wealth is created. Now, let's open our Bible to Genesis chapter 30. It's quite a long read. I'm going to read from verse 31 to 43. Genesis chapter 30, verse 31 to 43. We're still looking at what is the need for creation? Why do I need, before we even go to the tools, let's know why do I need to create? The first one is that creation helps you to solve problems. Number two, creation is the source of wealth and prosperity. So I'm reading from Genesis chapter 30, verse 31 to 43. Joseph had a very greedy father-in-law. He was a very difficult man, and he was a very dubious and greedy man. You knew what he did about Leah and Rachel. It's as if he knew what he was doing. He would have told the young man that in our culture, the elder will have to get married before the younger gets married. You didn't tell that young man anything. You just told him to walk, and he worked 7 years, and you gave him Leah, which was not his own bargain. Then you now said, oh, he said, oh, this is not the package I wanted. You say, okay, well, if you want the sister, you have to work another 7 years. So Laban was a very, I don't know the kind of right word I'm going to use for I don't know the kind of words I'm going to use for him, but he was a very greedy and he was a very dubious man, if I could put it that way. Now, this guy had just been laboring for him, being in his house for so long, but now he was willing to leave. And when he was leaving, he had to negotiate with the father-in-law that he wanted to leave, that the man should just say to him so that he can leave. So that was the conversation that they both had, and that resulted in this conclusion that Jacob was giving to his father-in-law. What shall I give you? He asked. This was Laman. I'm reading new in I'm reading Genesis chapter 30 from verse 31 to 43 NIV. That's the version I'm reading. This was Laban asking Jacob, what shall I give you? He asked. Don't give me anything, Jacob replied. But if you will do this one thing for me, I will go on tending your flocks and watching over them. Let me go through all your flocks today and remove from them every speckled and spotted sheep, even every dark-colored lamb, and every spotted and speckled goat. They will be my wages. 33. And my honesty will testify for me in the future whenever you check on the wages you have paid me. Any goat in my possession that is not speckled or spotted, or any lamb that is not dark colored, will be considered stolen. 34. Agreed, said Laban. Let it be as you have said. That same day, he removed all the male goats that were streaked, spotted, and all the speckled or spotted female goats, all that were white on them, all that had white on them, and all the dark-colored lamb, and he placed them in the care of his son. You still see that's the last Laban. And he put a 3-day journey between himself and Jacob, while Jacob continued to tend the rest of the Laban flock. Jacob, however, took fresh cut branches from polar, arms, and plane trees and made white strips on them by peeling the bark and exposing the white inner wood of the branches. Then he placed the peeled branches in all the watering troughs so that they will be directly in front of the flocks when they come to drink. And when the flocks were in heat and come to drink, they mated in front of the branches. And they bore youngs, that were streaked and sparkled and were spotted. And Jacob set apart the youngs of the flock by themselves, but made the rest face the streak and the dark-colored animal that belonged to Laban. Thus, he made separate flocks for himself and did not put them with Laban's animal. 41. Whenever the stronger females were in heat, Jacob would place the branches in front of the trough in the front of the animal so that they would mate near the branches. But if the animals were weak, he would not put them there. So the weak animal went to Laban and the strong one to Jacob. In this way, the man grew exceedingly prosperous and came to own large flocks and female and male servants and camel and donkeys. You saw that. Laban thought he was an extremely wise man, but this guy understood the power of creation. I didn't know who taught him this breeding technique. I think this big breeding technique needs to be studied. He cut a branch, opened it up, and did something and placed it where those animals were drinking water, and as they were mating, something was happening. In that singular thing, the person that was talking about wages before, the Bible said he became extremely wealthy by creating a breathing technique that worked. Anybody that is wealthy today had created something. Elon Musk, by data, Elon Musk is the richest person in the world today. It didn't happen just in a vacuum. He created Tesla. He created something. SpaceX and Tesla. Those are the things that's giving this man a lot of money. In Africa, in Nigeria today, the richest man in Nigeria is creating something. He's putting something on your table. You can see that when you go to the market, you can buy that thing. And it has been said that there's no house in Nigeria. 25% of most incomes in Nigeria goes into this man's pocket. Because you have to buy, is selling cement, is selling salt, is selling sugar, is selling a lot of things. And this thing has to be created. So creation is the source of wealth and prosperity. You saw what Jacob did. He created a breathing technique, and that gave him money. My question to you is that what are you creating? What are you creating? If you don't create, you can't be wealthy. You need to understand that you need creation to be wealthy. The Bible said, and as Isaac sowed in the land, and Isaac sold, sown in the land, and he reaped hundredfold. What does it mean? That is creation. You take a little tuber of yam, you put it in the soil, you cut a tuber of yam into 3 or thereabout, 4, and you put it in the soil, and it becomes a whole tuber of yam. And then before you know it, you can even export this tuber of yam to countries far away from where they are being planted. But you must create something. The Bible says, till the ground, and you will not lack bread. Creation is the source of wealth. If you are broke, you are struggling, ask yourself, what can I create? I remember when I wrote my first book, when the proceeds from the first book came out, it was from the proceeds of my first book that I bought my first car. The first car that will be in my name. They have cars, but the ones that will be the first car I bought with my own money, it was from the proceeds of that book that it came out from. Because of that book, they gave me so many things. I won't want to bore you with that. But because there was a book that I produced, I sat down, I wrote the book. The book was edited, the book was printed, the book was circulated, and money came in. You must create something. As you're listening to me today, if you desire wealth, you desire prosperity, you must create something. When you create something, then you can scale it up. You can mass produce that thing. There's a prototype. The first Tesla was produced, and then after the production of the first Tesla, then they mass produced the Tesla. So you create something and you mass produce it, and that's how wealth comes in. There's not too much miracle or magic in wealth creation. When value is created, money comes in. To make money is not very difficult. What is difficult is value creation. Now, I'll give you an example. If you sell moi moi, for example, moi moi, if you don't know moi moi, if you are listening to me, moi moi is a delicacy made from beans. So now, moi moi, you put moi moi, you soak the beans, you peel the bark, you understand? You blend it. After blending, you stir it. You add all the condiments. Maybe you want to boil fish. You want to put egg into it. You want to put crayfish. Whatever you want to put. You are doing all those things. When you are doing those things, that's labor. You are not seeing money. You are just laboring. Do you see? In the morning, you see the time, the effort you use to peel the beans, to grind it, to add all these things, to boil the fish, to boil the egg. You can see the whole process. Nobody has given you money for that. You will now boil it, you will now cook it. Then it is when you cook it, then you will now take it to where you want to sell it. Now, you will give one person, maybe one moi moi, the person gives you money back. That transaction, how many is in seconds? The money coming to you comes in maybe in minutes. But the preparation of those things took you hours. So that is it. Money is about transaction. Transaction is not it's just, I give you what I want, you give me the money, the equivalent of the money you have to give to me. It's very fast. But do you notice that this woman that cooked the moi woke up early in the morning and was busy doing it for hours? When you want to buy a house, you might negotiate, okay, just come and inspect the house. Do you like it? You talk to the realtor, and then before you know it, maybe in days or maybe in hours, depending on the negotiation, transaction will have occurred. But do you know how long it takes to build a house? From foundation, the bricks, the decking, depending, the artisan. Do you know how long? Do you know how many resources, human and everything that goes into building a house? And you can finish the transaction, a deal in even hours. So you can see making money is not the problem. It is creating value that is the problem. Because when value is created, money will come. You see what Jacob did in space of few days. He was able to, amass so much wealth. So what is the essence of creation? Without creation, you can't be wealthy and prosperous. If you find every poor man, go and check. He's not creating anything. If you find a wealthy man, go and check. He's creating a lot of things. So creation is the source of wealth and prosperity. So number 3, why do I have to create something? Creation is the source of influence, fame, and recognition. Influence, fame, and recognition is a human need. We want to be recognized. We want to be famous. We want to have influence. And if you desire these things, which all of us desire, you must create something. It is creation that brings influence, fame, and recognition. Second Chronicles chapter 26. Let's look at that. Second Chronicles chapter 26. Second Chronicles chapter 26, verse 15. And he made in Jerusalem engines. You see that? And he made, that means he created. They were not there before. And he made in Jerusalem engines invented by cunning men. You can see invented. If you remember the definition I gave to you, creation is inventing something. Now, Uzziah now is inventing something here. He said, and he made in Jerusalem engines invented by cunning men to be on the towers and upon the bulwarks, to shoot arrows and great stone with her. Now, what is the result of that? He has created something. What came out of that? And his name spread far above. That's fame, influence. For he was marvelously helped, he was strong. When you create something, it brings influence. When you create something, it brings fame. When you create something, it brings recognition. If you don't do anything, nobody's going to recognize you. No, there's no fame for you. There's no influence for you if you don't create something. Like I said, my books opened some access, opened some doors for me. They invited me to some places just because of that book. Now, let me tell you, until you create something, there will be no influence. You must have something you bargain with. Now, if they're going to give you an award, for example, a Nobel laureate or, a Nobel laureate or whatever it is, they don't give you just because you desire, you like it. They give it based on what you have done. Based on what you have done. What have you written? What have you created? What have you done? So if you desire influence, if you want fame, if you want recognition, you must create something. You don't have to create an aeroplane. You don't have to create a car. You can create a solution in your place of work. You can look at a problem that is causing issue. You can create a solution to it that can make your company you can reduce cost by maybe 20%. You can increase profits maybe by 10%. That you are creating something. It could be an initiative. It is just create something. And that will be a source of influence and a source of fame and a source of recognition. Now, when you go to interview grant, they will ask you, what problem have you solved? Give us a problem you've solved. Tell us how you've solved it. So some people just go to work. Oh, I'm not talking about your roles and your responsibility. Give us one problem that came up and you solve it. How were you able to solve it? That's why you have to pay attention. Anywhere you're working, you can begin to look for what's the problem here? What is the problem here? How can I solve it? How can I put a solution to it? It doesn't really matter. If you know how powerful this thing is, you will never remain the same. All what Sander had, Colonel Sander, was a recipe. All he had was a recipe. And he created recipe, chicken, that a recipe around chicken. And that's what brought KFC. And today, before it's all over the world. It's just a recipe, just a recipe. And a business is built around that recipe. Creation. Don't despise what you have. You might be able to do something very well. Don't despise it. You might be able to make people laugh. Don't despise it. You might be able to teach people. Don't despise it. Create something out of it. And that is how things are done. Don't say, I just have, it's just, all what I have is just teaching skills. I know how to teach people. I know how to break complex things into little, assimilate into little portion that people can assimilate and understand. That's enough. Create something out of it. Go and bring complex knowledge and break it down into smaller bits that people can understand, and then share it. You can write a book and break complex things into simpler form and put it in the book. Whatever it is that you can do, whatever it is that you have, create something around it, because it is in creating that wealth will come, prosperity will come, influence will come. And what are we looking for in our world today? Everybody's looking for this thing I'm talking. Everybody's looking for money. Everybody's looking for recognition. Everybody's looking for influence. Everybody's looking for recognition, influence, and fame. And this is the source. You have to have something in your hands that you are creating. It could be a video. You create a video. It could be a podcast. It could be something. You can, if you're good at analyzing things, you can analyze an issue. People can learn from your analysis. You can explain things. Whatever it is, make sure you are creating something. And that is where you will solve problems in your workplace and in your business. You will make a lot of money. You'll be wealthy and prosperous, and you will have influence. Now, the question is that what are the major things we are all looking for, if not what I've just said? So, creation is very important. Now, let's go to tools of creation. I just need to say that to know what do I need tools for. Now, you need to understand that you need creation so that you can solve problems, you can be wealthy, and then you can be influential. So the first tool I'd like to talk about here is environment. The first tool of creation is environment. Acts of Apostles chapter 4. Let's read that quickly. Acts of Apostles chapter 4. Acts of Apostles chapter 4. Acts of Apostles chapter 4 verse 13. I'm going to read. And when they saw the boldness of Peter and John and perceived that they were unlearned men and ignorant men, they marveled and they took knowledge of them that they had been with Jesus. Look at it. Look at what they said. They were bold. And they perceived that where did they get this boldness from? They were unlearned. They were ignorant men. So how did they get this boldness? They now say, oh, they had been with Jesus. Environment is the first tool if you're going to do anything, if you're going to create anything. So I'll define what is environment. Environment can be defined as the sum total of all the living and non-living elements that their effect has influenced human lives. I say that again. Environment can be defined as the subtotal of all the living and non-living elements and their effects that has influenced human life. Bottom line, what this definition is saying is that Environment is the sum total of living and non-living things that their effect affect and influence human lives. You see, you can't think in a vacuum. Everything you see has a raw material. You know, cars have raw material, furniture has raw material, food has raw material. Everything that is created has raw material. So, when a child is born into an environment, is whatever he sees, he begins to pick them. Whatever he hears, he begins to pick them. Environment will determine what you will think about. Environment will determine what you're going to produce. You see, environment can be defined. Okay, let me use this illustration to drive home my point. If you are used to pumping machine, there's what we call there's this opening on top of it that you open and you put water. It's called priming. If you don't prime your pumping machine, it might not, bring out the water you want. So you put a little bit of water into that pumping machine to prime it, so that when you put on the pumping machine, it picks up the water quickly. That is what the environment does for you. It primes your thinking. You will never think beyond your environment. It has been said that there's this particular whale that you put it in an aquarium. No matter how you feed the whale, it will not grow beyond the size of the aquarium. But when you put that same whale into the ocean, it grows into its full length. Environment is extremely powerful if you are going to create anything. Larry Page, the founder of Google, they asked him a question. I'm going to read. He was doing an interview, and this was they asked him. Larry Page, the founder of Google, if you are listening to me, you will have used Google one day, one way or the other. They asked him what was responsible for his early progress in life, and how was he able to achieve what he achieved quickly. And here was his reply. I think I am really lucky to have the environment I did when I was growing up. That's what he said. I think I am really lucky about the environment I did when I was growing up. The environment he had. Environment is extremely powerful. You cannot do beyond your environment. You cannot do beyond what you can see. Have you noticed that people will come from the village to the city, and immediately they get to a city, it's like they'll blow overnight? It was not the city that gave them the talent. They were already talented, but they were in the villages. So when they leave the village, maybe come to Lagos, come to the city, before you know it, in few days, in months or in years, they're already big. What happened? The environment. The same person. But what has changed? The environment. Environment is a tool for creation. And you need to know how powerful the environment is. So when you know how powerful the environment, when you know how powerful environment is, you'll be deliberate about your environment. And I'm still going to get to that. Now, this is Larry Page in our dispensation now. Larry Page is still alive. Now, let's go back to history. The Wright brothers, the ones that gave us the airplane, they asked them the same question. What was responsible for this success they have? See what they said. Wilbur Wright, one of the brothers who invented the first successful plane, said, "We were lucky enough to grow up in an environment." You see again, lucky and lucky. Larry Page said, "We were lucky to grow up in the environment." Wright brothers said, "We were lucky again to grow up in an environment." So what is this about this environment? The guy that did the plane spoke about environment. The guy that did Google spoke about the environment. You have to pay attention to your environment. So what consists of your environment, you might ask? Number one, your family, your parents. That's the first environment you have. Larry Page's father was a professor. The mother also was in the academia. When he grew up, he saw journals of computers lying around in the family. When everybody was playing outside, he was reading, computer science journals. And all those things added up to the Larry Page that created Google that you are seeing today. I saw a video, unfortunately, of some kids in Nigeria. They asked those kids, um, what would they like to become in the future? You need to listen to what they were saying. When a friend shared that video with me, and I was telling my friend that you don't blame this kid because that is what they see around. One said, "I want to be a phone charger." Do you know what I mean? He said, when I analyzed that person, because he saw that somebody was providing, maybe your uncle or maybe somebody on this in this environment was providing where they could charge their phone. So they asked him, and that little boy, a boy maybe of less than 5, he said he wants to be a phone, a phone charger. Why? Because that is what he could see around him. The same energy, and you see another person, you ask him, the person wants to go into the moon, the person wants to, go into the space, but here's a young boy, maybe 4 or 5, that wants to be a phone charger. It's not his fault, it's the environment. If the environment is weak, the raw material will be weak. If the things they see, the things they hear, will prime their thought pattern. So that is why you have to be extremely careful about environment. Yes, we don't choose our parents, we know. We don't have power over our parents. Now let's now look at what we can choose. We don't have power over our parents, but we have power over certain things that affect our environment. Now, the first one, what constitutes the environment is your parentage. Number 2, mentors, who you allow into your space. Who are the people that you take counsel from? Without Elijah, there cannot be an Elisha. Elisha was looking at Elijah. He was looking at the miracles he was doing. And that was how he was able to do more than Elijah. Look at Eli and Samuel. Nobody knew how to hear from God. It was only Eli. God was calling little Samuel. He didn't know. But it was Eli that told him how to respond to God. Eli was the only man in that whole country that knew the technique of hearing God's voice, to responding to God's voice. So imagine there was no Eli. How will Samuel be able to hear God? Mentors are extremely powerful. They create an environment around you. They prime you. They tell you what you can do. Mentors are extremely powerful. You have to deliberately go after them to help you because their finished product is your raw material. The finished product of mentors they are your raw materials. The finished product of Elijah was the raw material for Elisha. It is recorded that Elisha did double of the miracle Elijah did. And Samuel did more than more than Eli. So mentors are very powerful. They help to create an environment around you. They tell you what is possible. They encourage you. They support you. When you are even going through, when you have what we call self-doubt, you are not sure you are good enough, but a mentor can see what you cannot see. That was why Isaac Newton said, if I can see farther, it's because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. People of God, if you are listening to me, you need mentors in your life. The places you want to go, some people are already there. Let them tell you how they got there. Don't reinvent the wheels. Don't recreate the wheels. People have already created wheels for you. Look at them, read their books, let them give you instructions, and they will help you. Imagine Samuel praying that God speak to me, show me. There's somebody that knows how you can hear the voice of God in your house. It tells you when you hear that voice again, just say this and this, and God will start talking. And the guy said exactly the way the guy said, and it worked perfectly. There was a story of this man. He said he had fasted and prayed for 40 days over a particular matter. The matter will not be resolved. It was a very chronic matter. He said a friend of his now told him that they should see a man of God somewhere in Akure. So the man traveled from Ilorin to see the man in Akure. And when they saw the man, He told the man, sir, this is my problem. And the man smiled. And the man said, go and do this and this and this and this, and the problem will disappear. And the man said, sir, you will not pray for me. I said, no, I won't pray. This matter does not need prayer. And he said, the man asked, is it about this matter you brought? He said, yes. He said, sir, I traveled from Ilorin to Akure. What will I tell my wife that you didn't even pray for me? He said, over this matter, there's no need for prayer. Just go and do what I asked you to do. So the man went reluctantly and did what the man told him. And he said the problem disappeared. He says, after I think some months later, he met this man of God again. And he said, sir, I did what you asked me to do, and the problem disappeared. I said, the man laughed and said, that problem that you are having now, you just had. I had it 40 years ago, and I solved it. You can imagine 40 years of experience. What you are going through now, people have gone through it, they found solution to it. Let them help you. There was a problem I was trying to solve on my laptop. It has been bothering me. I took it to some areas they didn't know what to do about it. So I began to research. I went online and began to ask. I noticed that the problem was not unique to me. A whole lot of people have the same problem. So let me say this. If you are going through anything, it's not unique to you. Millions of people, thousands of people out there have the same problem. So relax. So I saw there's this man. He broke down. He wrote an article over the solution to the problem. He attached a link to the solution to the problem. I clicked that link. It took me to somewhere. I downloaded something, and before you know it, that problem was resolved. I don't know the name of this person. What I'm trying to say is that the problem I was facing at that time, millions, hundreds and thousands of people have faced it, and they've resolved it. And there's a prescription for what to do to be able to solve the problem. I just went there, got the prescription, got the instruction, and I got the result. People of God, why are you suffering yourself unnecessarily? We are looking about tools of creation. If you need to create anything, it's important you find the right environment. I brought you the example of Larry Page. I brought the example of the Wright brother. You might not create something that is really out of this world, but it could solve problem in your local environment, in your place of work. And that thing that you create can be a solution that will lift you into what we call limelight today. The Bible speaks about in Proverbs chapter 13, verse 20. The Bible says, if you walk with the wise, you shall be wise. If you don't have too much wisdom, or you maybe I shouldn't put it that way, because hardly will you see people say, I need wisdom. Everybody believe they know everything, but we should be able to honestly say, in this area, I need some more help. The Bible says, he that walk with the wise shall be wise. So when you have to choose the kind of friends you have, that's the environment. When the kind of examples, when you are having conversations, what are you saying? There are a lot of ideas that have been born out of conversation. Two people talking, and before you know it, one idea comes on to your mind, and you follow that idea, and it brings a lot of results for you. He that walk with the wise shall be wise. You have to deliberately look for wise friends. How do you know? Look at what they are doing. You don't surround yourself with people that are struggling. It's not as if you cannot have friends with struggling people. No, you can have friends with them. You can make friends with them. You must also make friends with people that have gone ahead of you, and make friends with your friends that are doing well, so that you can rub ideas. You can share idea. This is what I think. Oh, this is what I think. Oh, this I heard about this thing. I read about this thing. And before you know it, you can cross-fertilize idea, and new things can come out of that place. New ideas have been product of deep conversation with wise friends. Trust me, you have to deliberately look for wise friends. Number 3, biographies. I've said that a lot of times. You might not be able to meet people. They might be dead, but their books are still alive. Go there and read their books, read their materials. They will help you to create the kind of environment you need. Don't forget, the environment is about the living and the non-living things, the things you see, the things you hear. what you feed your mind with. These are the things that will prime you. These are the raw materials that will feed you so that you can create anything you want to create. You cannot create anything in isolation. You can't. It is the environment that helps you to create. If you have never seen something before, how can you replicate it? If you have never seen something before, how can you improve on it? It's very important to know that without the birds, there can't be the airplanes. Because the Wright brothers were observing the birds. That was how they could do the aeroplane. So thinking, creation does not happen in a vacuum. It's progressive. You saw something somewhere. It looks like, now the guy that did the ATM, how was he able to do it? He saw that he used the concept of the chocolate dispensing bar machine. You know, you put coin and it gives you chocolates. That same concept was what he used to create the ATM. So that you put you put your pin and money comes out. So the creation does not happen in a vacuum. Go and ask, great inventors. They will tell you one thing led to another. I saw this thing here. I saw another thing here. I brought the two things together, and that was what brought this thing I have created. Creation does not happen in a vacuum. Creation does not happen in a vacuum. You need the right environment. Every seed does not do well in every soil. Every seed does not do well in every soil. Environment is extremely important. You might be singing in the village, nobody might hear you. But that same song, if you bring it to the city, it can be a game changer for you. Environment is extremely important. Environment in nurturing your gifts, environment in amplifying your gift is very important if you create anything. Self-help books. Number 4. Okay, number what? If you are following me, number what? We're looking at what constitutes an environment. Number what are we?
I think it's number 3. Said parents, biographies. Parents and mentors was the first, then biographies. So this should be number 3.
No, I said parents, I said mentor, I said wise associates, I said biography.
I didn't hear that. Okay, so that's number 4.
Are you following me? Please follow me. This thing I'm saying, it will help you. The only Bible, okay, number 4 now. Now, number 5. Now I'm saying number 5. Number 4, the first one is parents, the second one is mentor, the third one is wise associate, the fourth one is biography, the fifth one is personal development books. Books that can help you. Read books on leadership. Read books on business. Read books of personal development. Read books on spirituality. They will help you. They will sow the seed that you need. Now, the 6th thing I'd like to talk about is the Holy Bible. The Bible. Now, Ulysses Grant, an American president, said something. Former American president. He said, hold fast to the Bible. To the influence of this book, we are indebted for all the progress we have made in true civilization. And to this we shall look as our guide in the future. This was Ulysses, the former US president. He said, hold fast to the Bible. To the influence of this book are we indebted for the progress made in true civilization. And to it we shall look as guide in the future. The Bible is not just a religious text. It's loaded with templates, with formulas that you can use to change your life. Romans chapter 15 verse 4 says, let's see what Romans chapter 15 verse 4 says. We're looking at what constitutes your environment. Romans chapter 15 verse 4. Romans chapter 15. It says, for whatsoever things that are written aforetimes are written for our learning, that we through the patience and the comfort of the scripture might have hope. Things that are written in the Bible are written for your learning. You can learn from them. Things you have to do, things don't, you should not do. Very important. George Washington Carver, you can go and read about him. He said, I will just read my book. He would say, I will just read the Bible. And he goes into his lab and he churns out so much products. He was the one that brought so much product from peanuts. And they asked him in Congress, how was he able to do this? He said, I will just read my Bible. And the man asked, Bible is not a textbook on botany. It's not a textbook. It's not an agricultural textbook. He said, I just read it. And then I go into my lab and then I have thought of products to create. If you saturate your mind, with the word of God, it creates the right environment for you. Environment are extremely important. Parents choose the school they are, you know, very wealthy parents, very smart parents, they choose the kind of school their children are going to attend. It's not about the physics, about the chemistry being taught. It's about the environment, the children they will meet, the discussions that will happen. It is very important. If you look at a certain environment, if the environment is down, if the environment is full up of criminals, kids raised in that environment are prone to be criminals. If the environment is an environment filled with successful people, kids that grow up in that environment are most likely become successful people. Environment are extremely important because a child will always do what he can see and what he can hear. What we can see, what we can hear influence our life. They are the raw materials that affect our life. It's very important. Pay attention. You might not be able to rent a house in an eyebrow area, but you can take a book and begin to create thoughts. You can begin to feed your mind from the pages of good books, from the pages of good biographies. You can look at what people have done in the past and you can use that in your own life. If somebody have done something like this, I can also do something like this. I remember when Bishop David Oyedepo said. He said he went to um, he saw Ora Robert University and he said, if this can happen through the hand of God in this one, it can also happen in Nigeria. And it's that same thing that gave back to Covenant University. So he said it himself. So he saw Ora Robert University. That's the environment. That is what he saw. And he replicated that one in Nigeria. So it's very important what we see, what we hear. Pay attention to what you see, pay attention to what you hear. It creates the environment that will help you create anything you are looking for. If you stay around wealthy people, you will create wealth. If you stay around with successful people, you will create success. If you stay around people that complain all the time, they don't see, they complain. That is what you are going to keep doing. You are going to be complaining. And don't forget, complaining is not a strategy. So no matter the condition, no matter the country you are listening to me, there are always wealthy people and poor people. There's no country that don't have wealthy people. You always have wealthy and the poor. There's no rich country that you don't have poor people. And there's no poor country that you don't have wealthy people. It's all about our mindset. It's all about where you stay. It's all about what you allow into your mind to prime your mind and create what you are going to bring out of your mind. People of God, the first tool, if you are going to create anything, is the environment. Larry Page said it. Wright Brother said it. If you stay in the right environment, you will create the right things. Number two, imagination. The second tool to create anything you're looking for is imagination. Don't forget, the environment creates the raw material that fits your imagination. You can never think about lion until you've seen one or you heard about one. Now, because I said lion, now you begin to imagine about lion just because I said it. So it's your environment that gives your mind what is going to imagine. It's your environment that feeds your mind. It's the environment that gives the raw material that imagination will work on. So if what you're seeing is not good enough, that is what the imagination is going to work on. So that's why your raw material must be good. You must feed your mind with something that is good so that the product can come out. I went to a bank sometime and I met a young man there and I said, oh, were talking, and I said, "Have you thought about owning a bank?" And the guy was startled and was quiet. That thing never crossed his mind that it's possible for him to own a bank. The guys that own, they started Access Bank. They were working in, I think, GT Bank before. They were working there, and they went to go and acquire a bank. They was bank staff. It's possible. They have seen people. Elumelu today, he was working in a bank before, but they were working with the bank, but they had another thinking. They were not just working in the bank to collect salary, but they're also thinking that, okay, it's human beings that own banks, not angels. There's nothing bad in owning a bank. And they thought about it and they took action, and they were owning the banks today. So it's very important. And I asked the young man, have you never thought about owning a bank? He never crossed his mind, because until you think about something, you can't take a step towards it. If you are not thinking about something, you can't act towards that thing. It is thinking before acting. If you think about this, we can own a bank, then before you know it, you start taking action about how do I need to go about it? Who do I need to speak to? And that is how you begin to move. And before you know it, God will meet you along the way. But until you think it, you can't act it. And until you act it, you can't become it. So imagination is the second tool. Let's look at Genesis chapter 11. Genesis chapter 11. Genesis chapter 11, verse 3. I'm going to read from verse 3. And they said, and they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they and they that and they add brick, sorry, I take that again. And they said unto one another, go to, let us make brick. And they burned them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime they had made for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower, which is top will reach unto the heavens. And let us make a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men built. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Imagination is extremely powerful. God said here, He said, nothing can stop them to do that thing, to achieve that thing that they are imagining to do. What are you imagining? What are you thinking about? Your imagination is powerful. Are you using it? What are you thinking about? I wish I could share with you things I've thought about and has become reality. I used to share some of them with people that are close to me. I don't want to share them here. Sometimes you can see it as being boastful, and we live in an era that people take things out of context. But I know things that I've imagined, and I've used imagination to bring them to pass. I thought about them, and then I held them with my hands. If you can't think about them, you can't have it in your hand. God even had to go and show Abraham. He said, as the star, he showed the Abraham to see, because he needs to see before you can imagine. And if you imagine, even the devil cannot stop. You see what God said here? God himself cannot stop them for that thing that they have imagined to do. Imagination is extremely powerful. What is imagination? It's the process of creating mental pictures, thoughts, and feeling, often of things that do not physically exist or have never been seen before. Imagination is the process of creating mental pictures, thoughts, and feelings of things that do not exist physically or have never been seen before. It is a mental function. It is happening. It's mental picture. What picture are you seeing? That your small business. How are you seeing that business? Somebody said he started a small business 38 years ago. Today, that business is a brand on its own. See that your business, see it everywhere in the world. Yes, I know you started it in Abuja, Nigeria. You are going to see it in London, see it in New York, see it in France, in your mind. Wait, don't worry about how it's going to happen. Just see it there. Picture it. Put a mental picture there. You've seen pastors that they tell you that even when they have 6 members, they see crowd. They see themselves talking to crowd. That's the power of imagination. The Bible says, unto him that is able to do exceedingly abundantly beyond what you can ever ask or think. Thinking is the law, is in the spiritual realm. What you are thinking about, it is a spiritual law. When you think about something, that thing is most likely going to come to pass. And that's why the Bible cautions us of thinking about evil. Imagination is powerful. What are you using your imagination for? What are you using your imagination for? What are you using it to create? Are you using it to complain? Use it to create something. Somebody sat down and created the microphone. Somebody created the phone. Somebody created the car. Somebody created the clothes. Somebody created furniture. What are you going to use your imagination to create? Is a tool, use it. You have stayed in the right environment. You've read the right books. You've met the right mentors. You've read biographies. You've seen possibility. Now start using that your mind to imagine what you are going to create. You have something in your hand. Create something with it. You can say, I don't have anything. You can have a skill. That skill that you have, use it and create something. Imagine something. What can we use to solve this problem? What can I create to solve this problem? And before you know it, you keep trying. The first one might be a miss. You might not get it the first time. You do it again. You know you might not get it. And before you know it, you keep fine-tuning the process. And before you know it, you get a better version of that thing. If you are listening to me today, please, I'm begging you, use your imagination. Don't complain. Don't wish it is better. Don't wish the situation is better, which you are stronger, as somebody said. I like the way somebody said, he said he doesn't complain. He just asks God for more resources. Use your imagination. People had gone to the moon. People like you, they've gone to the moon. People are even planning to go and build a resort, a resource center in the space. That is imagination. Use your imagination. Just sit down. Think about pictures of where you want to go, what you want to create. And before you know, just keep the picture there. If there's a will, there will be a way. Keep your imagination engaged. I can't tell you how much I've used this tool in my life. I can't tell you things I've gotten from this tool. You don't know. I can't. They are numerous. It works for you. It will work for you. It has worked for so many people. It will work for you. Imagine it. The Wright brothers, they've imagined the plane even before the plane became a success. They've imagined it. They've seen themselves inside those planes. They've seen themselves flying the plane even before they got the secret code to the plane. Keep your imagination alive. Keep it positive. It's a tool for creating anything. Anything that is created in this world is created twice. First in your mind before it's created outside. Have you ever seen somebody drawing in a vacuum? No, you can't draw in a vacuum. An architect cannot design a house in a vacuum. No, he must have something he's thinking about before he takes the pencil. You can't write in a vacuum. Something must be on your mind. So that is where it starts. So you are taking a brush, you want to paint something. You must be thinking about, okay, do I want to paint a lion? Do I want to paint water? Do I want to paint a car? You must have something in your mind before you start painting. An architect will have a brief before he start drawing. The environment creates the brief for you, and your imagination kicks in and begin to work upon it. People of God, the world is for all of us. You are not disadvantaged. Begin to work on something. As I'm talking to you, I'm working on something. Very soon, you will see it. I beg you, work on something. You can work on writing a book. You can work on writing a code. You can work on building a business. You can keep working on something. If you don't get it, you make mistake. You learn from people that have got it, people that have gotten it right. You had it. You add to what you have. You move again. You are learning. I told you in the last meeting, Samsung did not started. Samsung did not start as a technology manufacturing company. They didn't start. They started as a grocery shop selling something, but along the line they kept on evolving. They kept on evolving into what we have today. You can start where you are, but don't stay there. Keep evolving. Keep getting better. Keep adding to your knowledge, and before you know it, things will get better. Imagination is powerful. It's a tool for creation. Number three, which is the final one, spoken words. Words are not just agents. Words are not just agents of communication. Words are creative tools. How did God create the world? And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Let's look at Hebrews chapter 11. Spoken words. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 2 said, Hebrews chapter 11, verse 3. Through faith, we understand that the words were framed by the word of God. The world were framed by the words of God. So you use words as creative tool. In Genesis chapter 1, the Bible said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And as he was saying it, and it was coming to pass. What are you saying? Without your small business, you should be saying, I see my business all over the world. I see my business in all continents of the world. Begin to say it. I love Mark chapter. I've taught you here, Mark chapter 11, verse 23. He said, let me read it. I know it, but I want to read it the way it's written in the Bible. Very powerful scripture. Mark chapter 11, verse 23. For verily I say, Mark 11, 23. For verily I say unto you that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, be thou moved, and be cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things which he has said shall come to pass, he shall have whatsoever he said. Words can move mountains. This is what he's saying here. Words can move mountains. You use spoken words to create the life that you want. You begin to say you can't be stranded. You use spoken word to create the business you want, the ministry you want, the marriage you want, anything you want. Words are powerful. Like I said, how did God create this beautiful world that we saw? This beautiful world that we can see and we're living in? By words. Let there be light, and was light. God was using word to separate water from waters. He was using word to separate the day from the night. He was using words. How using your words? Rather than complaining, why don't you speak positive words to your life? The Bible says, "Let the weak say, I am strong." Don't say you are weak. Don't confess weakness. Say you are strong. Say you are wealthy. The Bible says, "I might not see the rain, I might not see the wind, but my valley shall be filled with water." Keep confessing. If you sit down with successful people, they will tell you how powerful words are. They don't say negative words. They say words to create what they want, to create the business they want, to create the wealth they want, to create the environment they want. I might not know what to do, but I will find a way to this thing. I will succeed in this business. I will be the best in this course. Doors are opening unto me. Lines are falling onto me in pleasant places. Help is coming on the way for me. That is how to use words to create the reality you want around you. Words are powerful. Use them. When you stay in the right environment, you create the environment for yourself. When you use your imagination, you begin to create mental pictures of things you have, you want, or you desire. Those mental pictures, you begin to say them. My business is going to be the biggest business. My business is going to be everywhere in the world. My business is going to be profitable. That is how you use spoken words. Words are not just for communication. Words are also to create the reality you desire. I don't know where you need reality. I don't know where you need to create something. Find the right environment. Don't stay where they complain. Don't stay where people complain all the time. Don't stay where people tell you it cannot be done. Don't say. It has been said that the one that says it cannot be done should not stand in the way of the one that is doing it. Don't stay around people that are negative. No, don't stay around them. Find the positive people, the people that can say, okay, I know this is possible. At this point, I might not know how to go about it, but I know there's a way to it and I will find the way. Stay around those kind of people. Don't forget, positive energy is contagious. If you stay around negative people, they'll pull you down. If you stay around positive people, they will lift you up. When you stay, create the environment. When you're putting on your AC, air conditioner, what do? You first of all, you roll up your windows because you have to block negative things that are not the atmospheric air that is hot, that is not cold. You roll up, even though it's your house, you close the door so that that AC can be effective. Even though in life too, you shut out negative naysayers, you shut them out so that your own thought process can bring the result you want. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if I've been able to explain well to you. These three tools, if you use them very well, if you create the right environment, if you look for mentors deliberately, if you look for wise friends and make them your friend, if you read biographies, if you create the positive environment that you need around you, you will start feeding your imagination with the right raw materials. When you start feeding your imagination with the right raw materials and you keep it long enough and you keep saying them, there is no demon in hell that can stop that thing from coming to pass. When you keep saying them, God will go, most especially when you're a child of God, God will go into the future and cause opportunity and circumstances to come to cause that thing you are saying to come to pass. When you say things like, I can't be stranded, God will see to it that you are not stranded. It is always to you according to your words. What are you saying? What are you thinking? Which environment are you staying? Don't allow people to say negative words around you. When they are complaining, just leave the place. Go and find somewhere to think. And when you think properly, you will create. And when you create, you will be wealthy, you will be influential, and you will solve problems. Don't forget, when you don't create, you don't solve problems. If you create, you will be wealthy and prosperous. If you create, you'll be influential. Creation is at the middle of wealth, of influence, of problem solving. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where I'm going to stop. If you have been blessed, how do if you have been blessed, please don't let it stop here. Go to work. Buy the book, start reading them. I'm not preaching to you. I'm sharing thoughts with you. I'm telling you what works, what has worked for people, what has worked for me personally, and what will work for you. Before we pray, I don't know if you have any question. If you have any question, you have any contribution, this is time to say it before we go and pray. Any question? Any question? Any contribution before we pray? Is anybody saying anything? Okay. Over to you, Deji, before we pray.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Jide. Thank you so much for that session. I must confess that is very inspiring for me. and I have my notes and I took down a lot of things I'll do. I strongly believe that everybody on the call also learned something new today. Mr. Jide, thank you for teaching us about our creative power. I think for the next time we are meeting in the next 2 weeks, we need to come together and probably share with the house what we have created, if not what we have created, what we have improved on, maybe something that has been created before.